Hi, this is Tom, and this is the second video on the course of type 2 diabetes for comfort eaters. It's video 2 of 10. If you see in the bottom left, you can search for this video specifically, or the first one, or the 8th one. Just do T2D_0 number. I'm not going to read any of the slides out. If you want to read them, just pause the video. So, type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease, because it's not based on something inherently wrong with us. It's based on something to do with our lifestyle, the choices we have to make. I'm not saying they're easy choices, but they are to do with the choices. That is actually really exciting, because it means if you can learn to make different choices, you can actually get to a point where you reverse it. So just to be really clear, the type 2 diabetes issue is around refined carbohydrates, which is basically sugars, glucose, energy. It's the energy that we use every day. So when we look at the NHS and their kind of costs and obesity figures, which obesity has been very strongly linked to type 2 diabetes. There are lots of people with type 2 diabetes that are thin, and there are lots of people who are obese that don't have type 2 diabetes. Now, the problem is most of the people who are obese are probably close to or likely to get type 2 diabetes, and that is becoming more and more apparent. If you look at the family photos of people 10, 20, 30 years ago, people who used to be thin all the time, even now, have got some weight on them, and it's because of the modern food. It's not something that's broken with us. It's driven by this food, and the real problem is that everybody knows it's just increasing and increasing exponentially. This is a problem around the world. It's not just happening in England or in America. It's literally happening everywhere. The real issue is that what's happening is when we're consuming this modern food, what it's doing is it's causing us to wear out our kind of insulin muscle, as it were. And when you wear out your insulin muscle, that's when dangerous things happen, because you can't regulate the amount of sugar in your blood. And if you think of your bloodstream as like your kind of road network, if you damage your road network in some way, and lorries aren't able to get through, supermarkets can't be, your body, all of the systems in your body, the blood is the actual, it's the lifeblood. It's the lifeblood of each of your organs and all of the bits of your body, and if that system is compromised, it's going to cause some things that are not great, because it affects every bit of your body. So some of the common problems are heart disease. You can have amputation sometimes. You can have vision loss. There's kind of quite common things that can happen, and this is if you let it go on far too long. This isn't normally something that happens from one day to the next. It's something that happens over years and even decades. That doesn't mean you should just be complacent about it, and as I've said before, if you do have any symptoms, you must go to the doctors. But if you're catching this early, the thing to think about is not, I need to change everything today. In fact, you definitely don't. It's more, right, now I need to start thinking about some changes. The first thing I really want to advise you on is when you're looking at what changes you want to make. The focus of Balanced is about making smarter choices. So there are literally 100 things you could do now. You start meditating, going out for walks. You could try plant-based. You could make sure you're eating your 5 vegetables a day. All of those things are good things to do in life. Once you're happier and healthier, there might be things that you adopt. But today, now, what are the few things that are actually going to move the needle on type 2 diabetes? And the long and short of it is, if you're someone who's sensitive, caring, you take on other people's worries, that's one of the reasons that I comfort eat, and then you love food, then you need to realize that it's the rapidly digestible carbohydrates, these carbs that have been highly processed, that we put into our bodies because they taste bloody lovely. These are the culprits that are causing our blood sugars to change. So whatever we do, it has to be focused on that primarily. That's what we need to work on. You can go plant-based later, but don't take that on as well, because it will just make it too stressful. Now, I've mentioned this before, and there's quite a kind of stark look at the figures, but modern food is is kind of killing us. And the reason for that is that it's just so efficient. Now, when you look at 1 kilo of petrol, you have 11,000 calories. So the 11,000 calories is 1 kilo of petrol, and that will take your car, I don't know how far, 10 miles? Now, if you look at 1 kilo of Mars bar, so this is a common chocolate bar in the UK, that has 4,500 calories. So I just want you to think about that for a second. Imagine taking a cup of petrol and drinking it. I mean, you would never, it's just, you can't imagine how could that be palatable. But actually Mars is, I mean, it's not half, let's call it a third. So it's like taking petrol, 1 part petrol, 2 parts water. How does that make you feel? It's like, that is pretty potent. And when you compare that to something like broccoli, 1 Mars bar is equivalent to a kind of head of broccoli. That is an equivalent number of calories. Think how long it would take you to eat those that whole piece of broccoli. I mean, it'd be hard work, but it would take you a long time. And the calories are the same, but the time it takes your body to digest it is just nothing like it. In a Mars bar, we've got 0 fibre. The fibre is important. We don't consume fibre to eat it. The fibre is useful for lots of things, but primarily in this instance, the lack of fibre is causing the type 2 diabetes. So the Mars bar is like pre-digested. So as soon as you ingest it, it's almost going straight into your bloodstream. And it's such a problem. And when you think about food generally, and you think about food 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, when I was a kid, we didn't really have that much processed food. And if you look at the composite of food in the olden days, what you used to find is the foods tended to be more whole foods, more natural, and they had 2 key ingredients. One was water. They had more water in them, and they had more fibre. Think of that Mars bar. It's completely dense. There's no spare water in it. There's nothing. It's been optimised for the best nutritional intake. In fact, the time when you should be eating a Mars bar is probably when you're running a marathon. And I don't mean the first hour of the marathon, I mean the second hour when you need some energy. So, not even to start the marathon you don't need it. So let's get an hour in and then you'll need the Mars bar because your body needs that energy at such a fast rate. So the food on the right hand side here is more processed, it's more convenience, it's cheaper to manufacture, it's got a lot less fibre in it, and it's ultra processed. Now there's lots of issues to do with processed foods. We've got processed meats, we've got chemicals, we've got pesticides, we've got organic. All of these things are important, and they're things that you can tackle. But the real issue is the carbohydrate load. The pasta, the pastries, the biscuits, anything that has carbohydrate that's been refined, turned into flour, mashed down and all the fibre taken off, that is the stuff that is literally kind of slowly killing us. And that's what we need to kind of move from this modern average, which is pushed further to the right hand side. What we need to do is bring it back the other way and start eating a little bit more food that is more healthy. I just want to show you this fact, which is it's really quite scary when you think of something like a Mars bar. So you've got 5 litres of blood in you, which is like one of those big containers. Think of 2 big bottles of milk. That's about 5 litres. In that, all of that blood is only 5 grams of sugar. So just think of your Mars bar. How many grams of sugar in a Mars bar? I don't actually know. I think it's probably 30. 30 grams. It's probably got 6 times as much sugar as you need in your body. So at any one time, and that is why, that's why the modern food is slowly killing us, because it's just too potent. If you were a tree surgeon all day long, or you're a kind of a nurse that's up and around and moving patients all day long, then maybe you do need things like Mars bars. But in terms of do you need it, Mars bars are very little needed in our modern life. Do you like them? I love them, yes. So that is really the issue. So to sum up, the great news is that type 2 diabetes can be reversible. It is definitely the source of many debilitating issues, and that's because it affects our whole bloodstream, because that's where the sugar is. It's important that we focus on the most important change first, and understanding your food types is really key. to starting to kind of counteract it in a way that's intuitive, that lets you still eat your Mars bars when you want, but just most of the time then go a little bit more healthy. So that's the end of video 2. The next video, video 3, is T2D_03 if you want to search for it, or it might be on a box somewhere here. And that next video is about, okay, it's bad, type 2 diabetes bad, what are the options? I'll see you there.